on to agenda item 6, approval of board objectives and policies. 6.1 through 6.6 are all second reading, and unless there's something that you want to pull out, I'd like to take them all together.
Can we do 6.5
Separately? Okay. So can we have a motion for 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, and 6.6 together,
So moved.
please? Second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Keating.
Aye.
Ms. Holland.
Aye.
Mrs. Oilschlager.
Aye.
Ms. Paul. Aye. Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Dr. Kerrigan.
Aye.
Ms. Kashgarian. Dr. Griffin.
Aye.
Can I have a motion for 6.5, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, and I know we talked about this last month on this particular policy where it was suggested that we eliminate the Board of Trustees from weighing in, and we had a discussion about how that diminishes the board's authority, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Jerry told us he was going to go back and fix this. I don't see that that's happened. What I do see is that an added sentence has been included that says we're going to receive an annual report. Well, I think our discussion revolved last month around the fact that that the board was being eliminated from the decision-making process, and it actually diminished the board's authority. So I guess I would request that that gets put back in, like we had talked about last month.
Is there, I mean, I know we have to meet HIPAA requirements, so in terms of what this policy says now, have you reviewed this one again?
Well, I reviewed it. It does simply indicate that there's going to be a report. I'm not sure whether it was clear that you wanted to be updated in terms of, what number of FMLA requests the board is receiving, or whether the board wanted to ask that individual.
It was to read, the policy was to read at the discretion of the Board of Trustees, as opposed to taking the board out of the decision-making process.
Usually, the FMLA is usually administered by the administration. It can go up to the board level, but the administration does it because they're the ones with the facts.
And this is the way the policy was, where the board, it actually came to the board, so we're changing it now to diminish the board's authority in doing what we have been doing over the years. I certainly understand that we have to be in compliance with the FMLA, but by keeping the Board of Trustees in at the discretion of the board, it certainly does not put us in non-compliance with the
Wasn't the issue, if I'm not mistaken, that individuals were named and that the FMLA and HIPAA, there's a privacy concern? So is there a way for the board to be informed of FMLA decisions without referencing a specific individual's name because of the privacy issues with HIPAA?
I think that was the idea of the report.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't that we were looking for a report. We were looking at still being at the decision-making authority level as opposed to diminishing our authority, which is what this policy does. And I know I wasn't the only one that felt that way when we discussed it. And the point is that, we were told that, we were going to fix this, and now here we are in a second reading, and
Well, let me ask this for the board. Do you want to see the names of the employees?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be the names. Now you're going down a road where
Okay.
maybe in non-compliance, the discussion revolved around, well, hey, let's figure out a way to do this so we, in fact, can keep the authority with the board and still be in compliance with the FMLA.
Are there other comments?
I just don't appreciate our decision-making being.
What's the issue?
Well, it raised the possibility of having a code.
So essentially then it would come to us, for example, in human resources, under leaves of absence, there wouldn't be the employee's name, but there would be something that would
Employee ABC.
employee XYZ, family medical leave, this date to this date, the board would still be approving it, but we wouldn't be in violation of HIPAA or any kind of privacy
You wouldn't
act.
have personal
You wouldn't be
information.
infringing.
You wouldn't have personal.
And I think that's what you're getting at, right, Laura?
Yeah.
Is that
exactly.
sufficient?
We can,
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
sure, we can.
I
We'll
think
we'll
that's-
just bring a
I think
code and
that's
say
correct.
that's the number. and-
It's no different than some, like what we're doing with the invoices. You know, you gotta have some kind of a threshold, but yet still get the information and still keep the authority with the board.
So would that be sufficient? To do it that way? Yeah, to code it so that you don't have an employee's
Yeah.
name?
There really were two reasons why we brought this forward, and it is completely at the discretion of the board. One was, it began with concern over HIPAA violations. Everyone, and when I mean everyone routinely stopping other people saying, what's wrong with so-and-so?
I just
So
had
we
an
definitely
incident.
wanted the names out of there. The other is that, I don't know if authority, Trustee Oilschlager is the right word or not, but we even in the administration don't have the authority to stop an FMLA request. If the doctor comes in, so in effect, what you are approving every month is an FMLA
Just the fact that it was
report.
granted.
And
It's not discretionary.
it's not, it isn't, there's no discretion on the part
Right.
of, except for that Julie Guiney in her office does check documentation to make sure that that's all been submitted in support of the building.
Well, then, I mean, the language that you're suggesting says that at the discretion of the administration. All I'm suggesting is that the Board of Trustees should not be eliminated from this. The board has always been part of this policy, and I don't want to see our authority diminished. I'm looking on page 6.5.3 under 938.1, and that's the language. You know, I mean, I know there's a lot of pages in here, but I'm suggesting we keep it the way it was and how we discussed it at last month's board meeting, to include the Board of Trustees at the discretion of the board and not to eliminate.
Well, why would it say at the discretion of administration if you have no
Well,
discretion?
that's the point I was just trying to make as well. You said we don't have any discretion, but yet we're putting it in a policy that way. I'd rather have it at the discretion of the board.
I mean, what you,
That's the way it was.
well, but the board has no discretion either.
I mean, generally, the way
So
it works
what
is-
what you've said here with shall be administered by Human Resources Department in accordance with federal and state statutes, that ought to just be it, not at the discretion of administration, because you've got to do it based on state statutes.
They do, I mean, they do have, for instance, they can look at a request and deem it to be, deem it to have inadequate medical documentation to support it, go back and ask the employee to provide additional information. There's a fragment of discretion in there.
Okay.
But that takes place at the administrative level, it never takes place at the board level. The board never says we're dissatisfied with the amount of documentation we have here. Go back employee and give us some more. It really does take place at the administrative level.
Right. So all we've ever been doing is just saying that we acknowledge that people were on FMLA. I mean, because we can't say, no, we're not going to grant it to them on the board. We can't do that. Yeah, they've already done it. It's already been off.
But as you look at the language that's here, it says, and I quote, "Granting leave for more than 12 weeks in duration during a fiscal year shall be subject to the approval of," and you want to eliminate the Board of Trustees. How can,
Well, I think the language that you have up in .02 for the military or whatever, such leave shall be administered by the Human Resources Department in accordance with federal and state statutes. I mean, that should follow for the next paragraph too.
Period.
Be done
Yeah,
with it.
that's all you
Yeah,
need.
Yeah,
Okay.
so long as you met compliance with the
I mean, isn't that how it is anyways? Should take out all the other
So why
verbiage
that
and put this in.
superfluous language?
What you're trying to do is you were trying to minimally change the language that was already in there.
Right.
But what you're pointing out is more appropriately stated in the paragraph above. Maybe we need to go back and clean up, but just reflect the real law, not try to bootstrap from what the old law
Exactly.
says.
There's probably no reason to have at the discretion of anybody
Right.
in there.
Yes, there is no discretion.
But if there is going to be discretion, it should be at the board
Right.
level, not at the administrator.
Right, until we can understand how that evolved, because you don't want to change, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater if you don't
Right.
have to, but if the law is such that you just reflect the clean one. You got a right example of both, like you said.
Okay, so,
We go back and fix it and bring it
shall,
back.
yeah, shall
Sure.
we table this
Do that,
until
yeah.
we
Yep.
make some additional changes and then bring it back in next month?
Sounds good.
And maybe you do want these reports.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we,
You
and
want your
I think the
report.
board would want an annual report.
I would like a report.
Yeah. You can keep the annual report in there, but get rid of the discretion and, follow the statute. Yeah.
Yes.
Right, but not names.
Right,
Right.
okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay. So, 6-7 through 6-10 are first readings and don't require any action.
So, David, is it appropriate to say under the bond finish, the reporting, or I forget the term, all that new language is required by statute?
Yes, and there's a language prepared by
Oh, don't mess with that.
So, can we discuss it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure,
Which one are we on?
yeah. You wanna,
Which one do you want to discuss? We're looking at 6-7 through 6-10, which are all first readings.
Okay.
one should watch.
Any discussion on 6-7? Post-retirement service award? That was for non-bargaining unit classified. How about 6-8, post-retirement service award for specialists? Any discussion on 6-9, which is invoices?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to point some, well,
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, Barb, you start.
I don't see any language in here that addresses the bundling. And I don't know if there needs to be language, but how do we ensure that we don't fall into the trap where we're not following our own policy because we're not looking at the bundling?
If there was $1,000 bill a month, 12 months.
Or two
It'd come in
bills,
one bill.
two bills in 1 month, one for 4,000 and one for 2,000. How do we ensure that we've got safeguards in place? Because we don't want to be going down that road.
Well, I feel, in both cases, I feel as though we have good systems in place on the purchasing side. That's called bid stringing, and people do occasionally attempt that. In all cases that I've seen in this college, they've done that just because they didn't know. Now that we're doing this with bills, I don't believe that was the intent of the legislation. The intent of the legislation is pretty, well, actually it's pretty bland. It just says they want you to approve bills. They're not asking you to look for, if someone's stringing together 8 different bills.
I just want us to be in a position where at the end of the fiscal year, we paid $100,000 to this vendor, and it never came to the board.
Yeah. But I was hoping to achieve that. I haven't found another community college that does it quite the way that we're planning on doing with this. What I'd like to do is that within 10 days, I'll be much shorter than that, but promise that within 10 days that every bill we pay gets posted on our website. We could do it in a way that would allow individuals to run reports off of that data. That's the best way that I can say it, that you could, if you wanted to put in a Smith vendor, and see all the bills that Smith Company.
Well, see, and I personally wouldn't want to do that. I would say, hey, that's your job to say, hey, we've got a vendor in here that we paid $5,000 to last month, and $4,000 we're going to pay to that vendor this month. Well, obviously, those two now are over the threshold. I mean, I'm looking for some way for you all to be able to ensure that we don't get ourselves into that.
Yeah, definitely, I don't want to be in, we certainly don't want to be bored of a town. A large string of bills that weren't presented here. On the other hand, what I do feel very good about is that it's going to be more transparent than most other community houses or governments in the way that we're going to do it. I can't, and I thought about this, I can't think of another way of doing it if that's what I think the legislation was trying to achieve was transparency. But at the same time, not looking at every single penny that's paid, which is the direction I received back from the board.
Well, I think all of us as a board trust you in terms of your checks and balances and how you're looking at everything, but that doesn't mean that somewhere along the line, you know, if this is the policy and somebody, let's say you leave and someone else comes in, or things fall through the cracks or what have you, how are we protected? Is there any way we can put any language or something in there that prevents that kind of bundling situation to occur where the board wouldn't have approved?
Well, do we have any checks and balances in place to identify
You
this?
do, don't you?
And
Every invoice required to be approved by the Department of Finance payroll.
yeah, I understand the approval process, but I'm talking, is there some checks and balances in place that says, okay, we know we made a payment to X vendor in January for $4,000, and now another payment shows up in September for $4,000. How would you know that?
Yeah, I would just caution that we keep these separate from what the purchasing process is, and that's where, so for example, what we've implemented in the last couple of years is that requisitions have to be put in place to the amount of what the vendor was awarded. So that's one way when people try to string a purchase, when the eventual string goes above the requisition, boom, it kicks it out, and then we get a call from Michelle. When you're just paying somebody, there's no relationship to the procurement side where we would have a requisition. These are only coming because of a 1967 statute that required every government in Illinois to approve every bill that they pay out.
Let me use a different example.
Sure.
We have a contract with someone, no, not even a contract, somebody, we're paying somebody $3,000 to do some work for us. Paying it this month, we're paying it next month, we're paying it the next month, we're paying it the next month. That would never come to the board. Not only would it never come to the board in a contract, it wouldn't come to the board for anything that would stand out for paying for it.
If it was for the same type of service, that we have a process on the purchasing side that would have taught through what they have to do with their requisition.
Well, but I'm talking about the board's position, the board's legal authority to approve of all of the bills and or whatever. So I, as a trustee, wouldn't know that we're paying this person $3,000 a month for the next 6 months. I wouldn't know that.
And in that case, the only way you would know is if you did not change our new policy, which has the board approving everything.
There's got to be a better way.
Yeah, I have questions. I was at something first. And a couple things we can talk about. Oh, right. I see the first sentence is that we now go to actual votes, roll call votes for 5,000 and over. Then, I'm thinking the next sentence should be then, what do we do about under 5,000? Like, just put it right under there. Payments under 5,000 will be ratified each month, like, in a clump, I guess, or whatever, and then made publicly available on the college's website. Well, okay, a website is a real easily accessible mode of public access to information, and all we're gonna put on the website is the little bitty money. You know, it would seem to me, they'd rather see the big money on the website. Is it all going on the website?
Well, it's
or
all
what?
going on the website.
I think Jean's right, though, you
Because it
could
doesn't
put those sentences differently. I think we can rearrange those sentences.
I think maybe, for me to make it a little clearer, but I think first of all, you would say, okay, this is what you guys are gonna do at a board meeting with roll call vote, you're gonna vote 5,000 and up, okay, I get it. Then 5,000 under, we're gonna try to be transparent and put it on the website. But then that raises a question in my head, well, so only the little stuff's going on the website?
I think you're
Why
right.
doesn't the big stuff go on the website?
Just say all.
You know,
Well, then maybe it
You
should
need
all
to state that in the
no,
policy.
we'll change that language. I think the
Maybe
last
that's what you
sentence
wanna
should just
say.
be the website language, and the other
Something.
sentence will move on. But good
You know what I'm
point.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I get it, like I mean, from, as a board member, my concern is that I don't know the validity of these things. I need to make sure they're vetted carefully by you guys. So I think you've got that in there, and I think that's really essential that that be in there. But it was, when I was looking at this, I was thinking those sentences about materials documenting, and then the bills shall carry, blah, blah. I was thinking, do those only refer to the ones over 5,000, or what are you saying here? You mean that about all of them?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think those are
I could say things like all bills
clarifications.
regardless of the amount.
Yeah, stuff like that. That's what I would request.
As
And
long
then
as
all
you're-
bills are going on the website. And then we'll be disclosing.
As long as you're giving more thought to it, see if you can come up with some language to address the department.
Any more discussion on 6.9? 6.10, serves annuitant, return to work and employment policy. Any discussion?
There's just to point out, there's a couple typos in there that will get corrected. There's a capitalization missing and kind of a fragment sentence in the first paragraph, but we'll get those fixed in time.
Any other discussion?